What's up, everybody? I want to tell you about Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's one of the easiest ways to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Let me explain. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. When hosting Anchor on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. So download Anchor, the app, or go to anchor.fm to get started. And I'm a veteran, so let's hear some more military cadences. What's up? 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 What's up is what is going on before I get to anything else with this Russia and China thing here. Everybody's talking about everything else, but we got to get into what's going on. It's been trending on Twitter. People are just talking about them teaming up, Russia and China. People said Russia and China win if the GOP forces the U.S. into a debt ceiling crisis. Somebody said under the Trump administration, America was strong, unemployment down, gas affordable. Yeah. Thus the past, brother. Let's look at now. Does Russia have 750 foreign military bases? Does China? Could it be that USA is the biggest colonizers and imperialists? The end of the U.S. dollar's dominance is clearly in sight. Saudi Arabia's acceptance of using USD for its oil exports, in addition to OPEC members, is what sustained the dollar for decades. Nigeria should accelerate its plans to join the BRICS because Russia and China are winning. Saudi Arabia says it's open and settling trade in other currencies. They were using us. So the U.S. dollar, baby. The U.S. dollar. Yeah, I gotta see this big picture. I talk about a bunch of mess on this podcast, but they are trying to devalue the dollar big time, my friends. Big time. Somebody said President Biden declared World War III with Russia over Ukraine. Russia and China have partnered up and became allies. The U.S. society has weakened our soldiers that protects the civilians of the United States of America. We are now fighting a war that had nothing to do with us. Pay attention, y'all. Soon the dollar will be worthless. Western countries are destroying themselves while Russia, China, and their allies plan on creating a currency backed by gold. Russia and China have more gold than the rest of the world. The dollar will be useless soon. So stay woke, y'all. Like I said, I know I talk about a lot of mishigosh on this podcast, but these are things that we really got to be paying attention. Make your next move your best move, baby. Make your next move your best move. Let's see what else is going on here. It is Black History Month officially at midnight. Which every day is Black History. Black History is 365 days of the year, baby. It's a lot of news. That one was one I really wanted to point out to you. Now let's get to the mess of things. Why don't we just get to the mess of things? Let's see here. So the feds say 22 practicing Georgia nurses that paid for the Florida school for $15,000 had fake diplomas, and none of them have resigned. They sent them a letter saying to voluntarily resign, and they was like, I'm interested if they're gonna have some kind of lawsuit. Like, let's be clear, like, they ain't gonna just walk away lightly. They paid all that money. They're like, These people didn't do background checks, all that crap. This story was sunny. So a Virginia high school assistant who was 22 years old, she got fired for impersonating a 13-year-old during a junior varsity basketball game. She must have really wanted her team to win because, girl, you really suited up to beat these kids. Let's see what else is going on. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence are going to do a Bad Boys 4. Bad Boys, what you gonna do? When the summer come for you. Y'all know I'll sing all day, so I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna not torture you guys like that. I'm not gonna restate again that I'm tired, but I've been dragging this week. Surgeon General warns at 13 is too early to join social media. Well, it's a little bit too late for that, Surgeon General. All these kids are on there. Let's see what else we got. It's always something going on. But yeah, I don't know if you guys want to invest in crypto or something, but you guys definitely need to be thinking about options besides the dollar. And hey, if you have some, let me know. Include me in, because I'm always looking at ways to stay above water. Alex Baldwin is formally charged with involuntary manslaughter for the fatal movie shooting, which I thought that he already was, but they formally charged him. So, Vice President Kamala Harris will attend the funeral of Tyree Nichols in Memphis tomorrow. So Elizabeth Warren was not trying to back Kamala for vice president. Elizabeth wants her spot back. She's like, you were there, it's time for my turn. I honestly, I would not doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. Because it's kind of like, Kamala seemed promising, but I don't know. It's her and Biden don't seem like they work together well. I don't hear her voice on a lot of issues where other vice presidents, I've heard their thoughts about things. I don't know. That dynamic is so strange. Like, I haven't heard any of her policies for real, and I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's very weird. It's very weird. So, let's look at one more news source and then we'll get into our story time, because a lot of this is repetitive. And a lot of this is telling us things that we already know. So for all my eye drop people out there, that Esri Care eye drops they investigated dozens of infections that end death. So if you use that Esri Care, is EZRICARE eye drops, CDC is advising against it. It was like giving an uncurable infections and killing some people. So let's see here. Let's see what else we want to talk about. Supposedly Santos says he's learned his lessons about lying. Yeah, right. Other than that, guys, there was snowing in Texas today. Austin and all of them. They had icy roads and everything. Is wild. People, I try to tell people it snows in Texas. I don't know why they don't think so. Other than that, guys, I think I'm going to hop into story time, because really, like, a lot of this is kind of like repetitive from yesterday. So let's see what stories I picked up for you guys. See what we got here.
Ladies over 40, beware. I have just learned about hospice husbands. This is basically where you meet a man and he is love bombing you. He is doing all the things. You fall in love with him and you marry him super fast. Well, these are men that are already sick. They just haven't told you that they're sick. Like, I've heard about stories that men who, like, after like weeks of being with a woman, they died, but they knew they were dying. And the woman is left with like millions of dollars in medical bills. And then the kids come along and they take what belongs to the woman that the man never owned. Hospice husbands. I am like, so you telling me that when you meet a man, you gotta go and get his bones checked, his heart checked, his colon checked. You gotta do all this check before you ever even go out on the first date? Tell me what you think in the comments.
What I think is, yeah, if you're marrying an older man, you should probably do that anyway. I know that, me and my husband are our 40s, and I still be looking at that dude like, how many more years you got left for you, big dog?
Bro, let me tell y'all this quick story, and like this real life happening to me right now. So at the end of December, I was at work. And I was awakened by a phone call, and I went to let somebody in the front door at my job. And as I'm walking to the front door, I see this person sleep on the table. So I double back, and when she looked at me and I looked at her, I'm like, okay, this ain't who I thought it was. I'm like, hey, how you got in this building? She said, hey, I got a job interview. Keep in mind, y'all, it's 2 a.m. in the morning. This girl telling me she got a job interview. So I'm confused, and I say, hey, who you got a job interview with? She tell me straight up she got a job interview, and she gave me my manager name. So, I confirmed it. She had an interview at 9, and she just had nowhere to go, so she just got there early so she could make sure she missed her 9 interview. I respected that. But as I'm looking at the girl, she looked every bit of 17, 18 years old. So my heart, I say, I can't just leave her out here in the cold like this. So I told her straight up, I say, hey, in the morning when I get off, you gonna come home with me, and I'm gonna double back and bring you back to your interview. She was like, all right, that's cool. I should have knew it was a mistake when my coworker came into work and she snapped on my coworker, and I still took her to the house with me. But we gonna fast forward, I get into the house, it's all cool, everything chill. She go in the room, I go in my room, and things crunk up when she knocked on my bedroom door and just walked in my shit, and she was like, hey, what we finna eat? So I'm taken back because I ain't never in my life seen a homeless person as bold as she was. Bro, when I tell y'all this girl took off her clothes in my room, she wanted me to see how strong she was. Bro, I seen her titties. Bro, she laid across my bed. Keep in mind, this girl was homeless, so she hadn't taken baths. She laid on my bed. I looked at my girl looked at me, and at that moment we knew we was done. We said, So we made a decision that she could not stay with us. So that night, I took her back to work with me, bro. And I was supposed to take her to Apple the next morning to get her phone. But instead, I got her a tablet. And I ran. Like, I skirted up out my job parking lot so motherfucking quick, bro, and never looked back. But I never thought I'd see this girl again. Tell me why it's 2:22 a.m. in the morning and I get a phone call on my job phone, bro. Tell me why this girl outside my motherfucking job looking for me. She looking for me. I done told this girl, I'm sorry, the person you looking for, she isn't here. Bro, I'm in here whispering. I haven't moved. I'm scared because my job is glass. It's glass windows. I'm in the only place that can't be looked through. And I'm scared because...
Pretty much she had a stalker, and the lady was after her. I don't know why you would do that, young lady. That was dangerous, buddy.
The murder trial in the death of local rapper XXXTentacion might begin this month. Attorneys are attending hearings today. One just wrapped up where the judge found one of the defendants is competent to stand trial. XXXTentacion, whose real name is Jase Swain Onfroy, was leaving a business in Deerfield Beach when he was ambushed and shot to death by 2 accused robbers. Lawyers for one of the murder suspects, Dedrick Williams, filed a motion for rapper Drake to testify at the trial, believing that previous tension between Drake and XXXTentacion could be linked to the murder. There has not been any evidence.
So allegedly, yeah, that rapper XX, I used to just call him XXXentation, but I guess she puts a little twang on it. But yeah, I guess Drake was allegedly, supposedly, that's what happens supposedly with a lot of these rappers out here. Like somebody big wants them gone. Hopefully that's not the case, but I guess we'll be finding out here.
Of me and my sister, which ain't so bad. But let me tell you about Whitney and Eddie Murphy. I asked Whitney, I said, how did you all break up? Because we used to sit up at night and talk. We used to sit up at night and chill to the wee hours of the morning. She told me, and she was very honest with it. She said she was laying in bed. Eddie got out the bed because the phone rung. He went out the room and around the corner and was on the phone. And she's listening. You can't do that with women, brothers. She said she picked up the other end of the phone, and Eddie was on the phone talking to another man. And the man said, quote, "Baby, I miss you. Are you still there with her? You gotta come home. You've been there with her too long. When are you coming home?" With attitude. And was talking about Whitney a little bit. And Eddie said something in reference to, I need some more time or whatever. But he had no more time. When he hung up that phone and came back in that room with Whitney, Whitney said, "Pack your you-know-what now and get out my house." And she never messed with Eddie Murphy since that day. She said Eddie was dealing with men and she didn't like it. Okay? And I don't have anything against anybody that deals with anybody. I don't.
So that was Delilah Brown, Bobby Brown's sister, talking about Eddie being on a down low. But I'm just like, these people will not let Whitney Houston rest. They will not let Whitney Houston rest. This lady, her soul, I hope she haunts all of them. The amount of movies, the amount of interviews they've done on this lady, it'll be the same way with Britney whenever Britney now is, but it's just like some people, and especially the family, it's the family for me. Like Whitney and Bobby's family, the way they continuously try to get clout on this poor lady's name, it's ridiculous. Like, how was she resting when she was here? No wonder she had an addiction, dude.
Y'all motherfuckers y'all don't have y'all dad. Y'all don't have y'all dad. At the end of the day,
yours once you get 25 years. You ain't seen them since. Don't act.
You guys blame police. You guys blame police. You guys blame all this shit. But y'all don't have a dad. That's the fucking excuse. So don't blame the white person. Don't blame the cops. You don't have a dad.
I can't hear you.
It's simple. All right, don't fucking blame the white people. Don't blame the fuck. Why is the Mexican culture coming up? Because we have
here, bro. Why are you still here, bro? Why are you still here?
Y'all motherfuckers don't have a dad. Y'all motherfuckers don't have a dad. It's simple.
Can you please mute him?
Acknowledgement. You guys don't have a dad.
I have a dad. What are you talking about?
You guys don't have a dad.
Kick it, but y'all can't.
Jazz, can you please delete him and add another man, a woman?
Nah, it's all good. You can delete me. But that's the truth, though.
Can
You guys don't have a dad. And I guarantee you, most of these people right here don't have a dad.
I have a father.
I love y'all to the fullest.
White dude came out of nowhere and decided to.
You guys don't
I
have a
don't even
dad.
think he's Mexican. I think it's a joke.
That was a bunch of mess, but that was something I saw last night where it was this black TikTok live. The discussion was one thing you love about black women. And this Mexican guy decides to come in and tell them that they don't know. Like, he just literally started going off on them. There's so many trolls on the internet. It's wild. That wasn't supposed to be a part of my podcast, but I forgot I had saved that because I will be bringing this to the forefront in the future. But yeah, this is the mess. Like, don't join TikTok. It's like so Jerry Springer on there.
Yeah, how about we talk about how corrupted a liar you are? Right. 50 years in Harlem is still fucked up, right? People are slumped over 125th Street. Guess what? They are slumped over and dying, and you are doing nothing about it. You don't speak for Adam Clayton Powell Jr.
We love New York.
You don't speak for the American people.
We love New York.
You are just as corrupt. And guess what? We're on the verge of nuclear war now because of you. $100 billion for Ukraine, right? So much money for Ukraine. But what about for Harlem?
This is not January 6th.
It's not.
This is the 13th
Hey,
Congressional
guess what?
District.
Mr. Espaillat, why don't you talk about the fact that people are dying in Harlem? I'm not going to stop unless you address me. Mr. Espaillat, how many people have died because of open-air drug trading because of you and Schumer? How many people have died, huh? You are responsible for the death of thousands of people here in Harlem. There's a housing crisis, a homeless crisis. You have done nothing. You are utterly useless. And guess what? Now we are on the verge of World War III with Russia. What have you done? Nothing. You've only made things worse. And everybody's going to end up dead. We're on the verge of nuclear war, people.
In remembrance. We love him anyway.
Congressman, when are you going to tell the people of your district that Germany has just declared war with NATO on Russia? Are you going to tell your district that we're on the brink of a nuclear war with Russia? Because guess what? A nuclear war will fuck a lot of things up. When are you going to actually do something for this district? When are you going to think diplomacy with Russia? That is the most important thing concerning the people of this district. You have to make peace with Russia. Do something instead of bowing out to these people in the Democratic Party.
We could have both.
Make peace.
We could have both, and we deserve to have both.
It could be used to support people in the Bronx.
Last Congress.
Do something for the people of your district. Stop bowing out to these elites and parties.
Well, we love her too.
Adriana, why are you sending all of my tax money to Ukraine? I am tired of you sending all of my tax money to Ukraine. You give $40 billion to Ukraine, but you only give $20 million to New Yorkers. I hate this. You're sending all my money to Ukraine when I did not ask for that.
Listen, I am for these people. This is what should be discussed. Everything else we're talking about right now, what is going on with this war, that's this threat of war, what is going on with it? I mean, we're just still here working our little jobs, doing our little thing, but what are our people that we pay to sit in the White House and to represent our states? What are they doing for the citizens of this country? Like, it's confusing. I'm confused because it's like we're playing some game, and you already think all of this is like the Truman Show at best. But we're entertained. I'm going to continue to provide you guys entertainment, but I'm glad that people are starting to shake the table. We need more of this for sure.
So another story time. My mom got married in 2008 to this man. Got tested for STDs. They had the church wedding, everything. Then they moved away. I stayed here with my grandparents. My mom gets pregnant. She finds out she's pregnant with twins at her first ultrasound. They call her back in, and at first she thought, oh, it's because I have diabetes. Like, this is normal. They did the same thing when she was pregnant with me. They said, no, ma'am, you have HIV. She was absolutely distraught because what do you mean I have HIV? I've been married to the same man. We got tested. I don't understand. Believe it or not, when they went to go get tested for the STD, they stood in front of each other with the doctor, and he said, I don't have any STDs. And she said, I don't have any STDs. The doctor knew that the guy that she was going to marry was lying, but the doctor couldn't say anything because of the HIPAA Law Privacy Act. So he knowingly affected her, and he actually went to jail for it. Aside from that story, he also slept with his boss. This boss found out that she had HIV. Oh, by the way, he normally infected over 200 men and women. But out of those 200 men and women, his boss was one of those people. She found out that she had it, and she was so distraught, she stayed in the house for like 4 or 5 days. She didn't talk to anybody, even her boyfriend. Her boyfriend ended up catching it, and he was trying to reach her, but she couldn't talk to anyone. She was so distraught. And so on Mother's Day, she's walking out of her garage, and he ends up shooting her dead. And no one, no one knew exactly why until years later. It's insane. And her death was a result of him knowingly infecting her. There's so many more stories that are connected to it. It's absolutely insane. If you want to look it up, you can. But yeah, I thought I'd come on here and share. It's a little more heavier than my last story time, but yeah. I keep forgetting details, but also, you know how I told you my mom was pregnant? She was pregnant with twins, and she had them at 4 months old due to all of the stress endured because of this situation. So my brother was born with cerebral palsy, and my sister just has autism. But they both endured tons of surgery, and they were not supposed to live. Born at 4 months, they were not supposed to live, but they did, thankfully enough.
Yeah, that is a crazy story. I can't top that. I think that's listen, there's called this thing when you go to the doctor that you actually look at each other's test results. Like, I'm married and I look at my husband's test results. I'm checking the cholesterol and the STDs. Don't play. We shared that with each other because I'm paranoid like that. So I'm just telling y'all, even as a married woman, I'll be checking the receipts.
Men really cannot take rejection, but like when you are outside of a man's preference and he shoot his shot at you and you decline, oh bitch, you better get ready. Like, I declined this dude. He was like, I don't usually like, bigger girls. But he was like, it's something about you. And, he asked to take me on a date. And because he said that first part that was not needed, I was like, I'm going to decline. I don't want it. And all of a sudden, I went from being like, oh, you just hit different and you so gorgeous to, bitch, you a 2-ton walrus with a wig on. I was like, oh, my God. A walrus is crazy. Give me, a more beautiful animal. What about a manatee? Damn.
She ain't lying, though.
No time for introduction. Let's go ahead and get into it. Today we're going to be talking about Mary Beth Tinning. Born in Duanesburg, New York, as a child she tried to unalive herself several times. She went on a blind date when she was older with her future husband, Joe. They got married in 1965 and moved to Schenectady, New York. They wasted no time in hunching and started popping out the kids. 1968, they gave birth to their first child, Barbara. 1970, they gave birth to their second child, Joseph. 1971, they gave birth to their third child, Jennifer. Now, Jennifer was sick from birth, and unfortunately, 8 days later, she passed away in the hospital. And the doctors were like, well, no, that's perfectly normal. Now, 3 weeks after Jennifer, their second child, Joseph, passed away suddenly, and the doctors were like, well, no, that's perfectly normal. 6 weeks after Joseph, their first child, Barbara, passed away suddenly, and the doctors were like, well, no, that's perfectly normal. She went from 3 kids to 0 in less than 2 months, and they just like, you know what? It happens. Thanksgiving the next year, in 1973, they had their 4th child, and he passed away a few weeks later on December 10th. And once again, the doctors were like, well, no, that's perfectly normal. On March the 30th of 1975, they received their 5th gift from the Lord, Nathan. Now, unfortunately, she did not want that gift, and so she sent him back to the Lord September of that same year. And once again, the doctors were like, well, no, that's perfectly normal. Now, don't get me wrong. People were getting suspicious at this point in time because, bitch, you had 5 kids. But did they try to stop her, though? No, they did not. August of 1978, they adopted a child named Michael, knowing that his day was coming. A couple months after they adopted Michael, in October, they popped out another kid, a 6th one, Mary. Now, Mary was born in October. That January the following year, she brought Mary to the hospital saying she's not breathing. The doctor saved her life and then sent the child back out with her. Now, Mary Beth's a smart girl, so she was like, you know what? If I didn't do it the first time, I'm going to try again. And so February, she did it.
Now, all this talk of death, Mary Beth just got so horny. So that same year, they had another child. He popped a 7th child out the coochie, Jonathan. Now, keep in mind, Michael was still alive. The adopted boy, he was alive at this point. Not for long, but he was. Now, Jonathan was born in November, but by March, Mary Beth got him up out of there. A year after that, 1981, they got that adopted boy up out of there, too. In August of 1985, they gave birth to their 9th child, Tammy. By December, she was gone. They finally put the pieces together and arrested the girl, but she only got 31 years in prison. She's alive and living her life in Schenectady, New York to this day. Crazy, right?
So he's talking about Mary Beth Tinning, and she was convicted of New York, and she murdered her 9th child, her 4-month-old daughter, Tammy Lynn. So she is a serial killer. Back then, and she took them out with the smothering.
With you.
Back then,
no time for introduction. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Sorry, hold on. Back then, man, it's just wild how they, and to this day, like, there's still some mothers that get away with that Munchausen and all this. So I told y'all TikTok is crazy. So I'm gonna play this next story. This girl, you know, they do these makeups. So there was this girl when she was younger. She did like this little dance in the Apple store. She went viral for it. Well, she's grown up. She still has her little TikTok fame, but TikTok fame, social media only pays so much. Like, she's doing average in life. She's not rich by far, but she's rich in followers. So she was doing her makeup one day on TikTok, and in the background were her children, and it sounded like one of the children was getting like, and I hate using sexual assault for a child, but it sounded like her sons were trying to kiss her niece, and they were, and like, so she's doing her makeup, and the comments are like, hey, what is going on in your background? Like, the little girl is telling the little boys to get off of her, and she's just still there doing her eyeshadow. Like, in the comments is like, hey, you know. So they have this, someone confronted her about this, and let's see what she says, y'all. It's a mess. It's so Jerry Springer.
With you. No, I'm trying to have a conversation with you. Your niece was being sexually assaulted, and you sitting here worried about your makeup.
That's what I was doing at the time, right? I'm not saying...
And that's pathetic, right?
No. But look, that's what I was doing at the time, right? Of course, okay. I was in the middle of it. I don't... Maybe I just paused because I was thinking about what I was going to say once I got off the live.
You should have ended the live immediately.
Maybe I was saying, maybe I was doing what I was doing to think about what I was going to say when I get off the live. Like, I don't have to do everything.
You continuously allow them to get assaulted.
This is my thing. I don't have to do everything on anybody else's time. I feel like y'all trying to tell me what to do. I'm an adult. I deal with what I deal with off camera. Just me and my sister, we had to talk about this whole conversation. Thanks to these people, I cannot see my niece and nephew.
You shouldn't be able to.
You shut up.
You should not. Don't tell me to shut up. You shouldn't be able to. You just excused. No, don't tell me to shut up. You shouldn't be able to see them because you sat there and let them get assaulted. You don't deserve to see them.
You're doing too much.
Honey, if I was doing a lot, I'd tell you. I'm doing just enough. I'm doing just enough. You deserve every bit the ability to see them. No, you deserve every no.
You're doing too much now.
No, you're doing too little. That's the problem.
No, I haven't got
there. You're worried about your makeup, and you look like a clown. You look like a clown. You're worried about your makeup, and that was the problem while your niece was getting sexually assaulted. While your niece was getting sexually assaulted, you were trying to fix some makeup, and it didn't even look right. That's the problem. That's the problem. No. That's the problem. Let's go ahead and you too. No, the problem is, sis, you were worried about doing your clown-ass makeup when you should have been worried about your niece. That's why you can't see them right now. You should have been worried about your niece and your nephew with your clown-ass makeup at the time. Nobody gave a damn about your makeup skills. Your niece was getting sexually assaulted in the middle of you doing your makeup.
And you think that that means something? Your makeup wasn't even that good. And you risked your niece getting sexually assaulted for what? For what? To do some eyeliner, to do some makeup? You're sad and you're pathetic. Go ahead. Your camera was muted, sis. Your camera was muted. Your sound was muted. Go ahead. You're muted. You're muted. Unmute yourself.
Sis mad.
Yes, I am mad. I am mad. I am mad that a little girl got sexually assaulted in your presence and you were more worried about your fucking makeup than it didn't even look good. Yes, bitch, I'm mad. I'm mad. You're right. I'm mad.
Look, this is my thing. Look. Pause right quick. Since you've seen everything, did you see the apology video?
I don't give a shit about your apology video. Look how you're sitting here right now. Look how you're sitting here right now. Why do I care about your apology video? You look how you're sitting right here. No, and I don't care.
That's what I'm saying. Did you see
no,
the
and I don't care because you obviously didn't mean it because the way you're sitting here right now, you didn't mean the apology, so it don't matter.
Oh, so now, but you wanted me here though.
You didn't want to come, and yet you came. You didn't want to come, and
you sent your
I didn't send anybody. I didn't send you. You're done. Bye.
I've been done. I've been canceled.
Yeah, you are done. You are done. Anybody that gives you money, you're done. Bye. Anybody who.
That was a whole mess, but this girl, seriously, anybody that stays on live, I don't think you should even get live when you have kids in the background, because the whole thing was messed up, and hearing it in the background was definitely concerning. I hate that it's kind of turned into a spectacle, but the fact that she doesn't understand that there was a bigger issue, that she stayed on live doing her makeup when her niece seemed to appear to be getting, I hate to say sexually assaulted, but groped at least by her sons or whatever. I don't know. It was a whole mess, y'all. This is the crazy, like, Jerry Springer stuff that I see on TikTok, though.
You lied about me. Your father. If you lied about your father, what do you give up the world? I'm tired of it, Joe. I just had enough. If you can't talk to me face to face, you're a punk ass. That's all you are. You got all the money, everything, but you know what you don't have? You don't have no heart. And I'm going to tell you something else you don't have. You ain't got two balls. You don't want to talk to your father because you couldn't handle me. 81 years old. You couldn't handle this guy right here. And when you said I beat up kids, I beat up other women. Joe Harrison was, when you farted in your house, they knew next door. How could I get away with that?
My real father was crazy. He was like a psychotic person. He beat the fuck out of my mother.
Like he would be the type of... You owe me a big apology.
Joe, you were taken away at a very young age, okay? Unfortunately, you did not get to grow up with the man that we were fortunate enough to grow up with, that my kids are fortunate enough to grow up with.
Smacks women, beats the shit out of kids.
When he went to college for acting, he had to take up drama.
It beats the shit out of them. So I went from living around these Italian, New Jersey psychopaths.
You said the Italians in North Jersey were psychotic? A lot of these Italians. Joe, I'm 81 years old. I never met a psychotic Italian.
These crazy-ass Italian psychopath Italians over here, you know what? We know one thing for sure. We know family. We not caught up in the bullshit over there in Hollywood and all that, bro. We down to real roots, okay? And this man is the real root, brother. You always revert back to your roots, Joe. What you doing, man? Sit on the other side of the table, my man. No cameras, no nothing, bro. And not me. Don't worry, I won't be here.
I'm sorry that all this happened to you. From the bottom of my heart, I am sorry. Because you will never know what you have missed out on in life. I love when I see the comments. They just want the money. They want the money bag. I have a box, Pandora's box. And if I open it, Joe, things would get really ugly. But see, we don't roll that way. Us psychopaths from New Jersey, we don't roll that way.
Italian psychopaths.
Italian psychopaths. Whether or not you like it or not.
You're Italian,
He's
bro.
3/4 Italian, whether or not he likes it or
I
not.
don't know, but you better look in the mirror real quick. It's about time you become a man, Joe, and get to reality. You were wrong. You lied. We all know you lied.
So everybody's mindful on something, okay? You're looking at a real cop Real detective, okay? This record is squeaky clean. Let's just get that in perspective.
Joe, in front of everybody, I'm looking at you and I'm pointing at you. Come here, sit down, and me and you talk. That's it. I won't tell nobody what was said. I'm a stand-up guy. I ain't like you making up stories so I can make money. I don't do that shit, especially family. I don't do that. But I'm going to tell you something, Joe. Before you go here and you come here and you sit, do me a favor. Go buy that set of balls.
The men that don't have their fathers can wish that they can only sit beside them one more last time. I know that's me. Coming out here just trying to connect this selflessly, brother.
I'll tell you what I believe in, Joe. Family is everything. Everybody else you meet, you think you're on Broadway, you think you're this, you think you're that. Everybody else is a bus ride. You get on and you get off. But family is, after all these years, they barked at me, barked at me, barked at me. I'm barking back. But Joe, you know what you're going to see? You're going to see the real me. Your real father now. I'm no joke.
Our family is that we're very, very close. No matter what goes on in our family, it has always stayed within our family. This whole Joe thing is something very new to us. This is the only way to respond to him because we've contacted him privately. He doesn't want to hear what we have to say. He doesn't want to hear a story. He doesn't want to hear the truth. But here's the thing. When you make an accusation, you have to back it up with proof. And when there's no proof, there's no truth to what you're saying. So we have a box full of proof, Joe. We have proof from the Attorney General's office. We have proof from the police department. We have proof from legal cases. Whatever you said, my father's a psychopath. My father beat children. My father beat women. My father beat your mother. We have proof, Joe, that it never happened. Real proof, legal proof. Where's your proof? My father wants is 25 minutes alone with you. No cameras, nobody around.
And Joe, do me a favor when we meet. Bring your report card from the college you went to, the drama school. I know you had to pass that test.
There's two parts of the story. Okay, so for all you Joe Rogan fans out there, Joe's been telling his side of the story for 27 plus years. Now it's time for the original Rogans to tell our side of the story. Unfortunately, Joe didn't want to address that because he doesn't know how. So we have to address it with you on social media.
I don't know about no psychotic Italians. I think that's what most mob movies are made about. But anyway, yeah, that was Joe Rogan's father and sister. I don't know who went and scraped them up or who's so pissed off at Joe Rogan that they went to find his family. But it's a funny interview to say the least. I mean, money. It does a lot to the family, you effing guys. Yeah, that was very stereotypical, and I understand. But it was funny. You know me. Efforts for family is out of here. Because you don't understand the family. Let me stop. Efforts for family is signing off. See you guys tomorrow.